Good day, flight simmers. Today I am going to try to get the Turboprop Engine Rating Certification in the Cessna 208B Grand Caravan EX. And here's the flight path we have to follow with our instructor, who will be grading us on our performance. There is a briefing here that you can read that'll provide you with some information on how to complete this turboprop engine rating. So you can pause that and read that if you want. Okay, let's get ready to fly. Here's the Grand Caravan with our instructor there waiting for us. So, quick step to remove these chocks and engine covers, etc. Alt-Q on the keyboard. And Shift-C will get us inside the aircraft. So I'm not going to do a walk-around inspection or anything. I'll try and keep this short. Start the engine up as Control-E.
Welcome to the green fields and beautiful lakes of Switzerland. We're lucky enough to be flying over Lake Constance with some gorgeous weather today. You will be showing me how you perform a standard traffic pattern with a short landing using reverse thrust. You should also be careful to not over-torque the engine. This happens when the torque indicator is not in the green anymore. In this situation, you should reduce the throttle or increase the propeller speed. Never over-torque for more than a few seconds at a time. You can start whenever you are ready.
Okay, let's take a look at our primary flight display here, Shift 1, and I'm just going to put the CDI on GPS. Barometric pressure you don't have to worry about on these tests. There's your rotation speed, around 70, and we're going to try and land at around 70 as well. Shift 2 will get us this screen here, which is our multifunctional display screen, and you can range in a little bit just so you can see your progress as we fly around and land. Now this aircraft, I'm just going to press Shift 3, Shift 4, you'll see these different views. So here's the prop RPM thing. So you want that forward for takeoff, and also you can adjust that during the flight to help with the torque issue or reduce your throttle. Okay, overhead view, and back to our instructor. So right here we have our sort of flight management controls. So I am going to set the altitude to 2800. You can see it going up here. It also shows up when I highlight it. I'm not going to use the autopilot, but you can if you want. They're not going to penalize you. So you could do vertical speed up and have it climbing, and your heading, you could use that. But basically, you're probably going to score pretty good just by doing this visual flight rules and also manually handling the aircraft yourself, like the throttle, etc. So let's get ready to go.
St. Gallen Ground, Cessna November 2, 44901. Request taxi for closed traffic with Quebec.
Cessna November 24491. Taxi to and hold short of runway 10 using taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 119.7 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway 10 via the taxiway Alpha, Cessna 4901.
So this aircraft's a little jerky when you're trying to taxi and trying to keep it on the yellow line. So that's part of the scoring for your certification, how well you do that. So it's one of the hardest things to get a really high score on, is taxiing for some reason in this. But they are pretty forgiving on scoring you and passing you. So they're not going to expect you to get everything perfect. So I'm going to release the parking brake and we'll start rolling here. So it's still on idle right now, but it's starting to roll forward. Not quite as aggressive as the PC-12 is, but the slower you go, the better you're going to do taxi. It's very jerky. The torque of the prop wants to sort of turn this aircraft left or right. I'm just going to try and pull up here. And stop. And then request takeoff.
St. Gallen Tower, Cessna November 24491. Ready for close traffic at runway 10. Cessna November 24491. QNH 101 tree, right, close traffic approved. Cleared for takeoff, runway 10.
All right, we can acknowledge
Cleared
that.
for takeoff, runway 10, Cessna 4901.
Okay, so we can enter the runway now. So I'm going to put the flaps down. 15 for takeoff. This thing lifts off pretty quickly. So it takes off on short runways and can land on short runways with the reverse thrust capabilities of this aircraft. Now I'm just going to go inside for a second, have a look at that. Okay, we want to have this forward. It was forward before, you notice, but now it's, for some reason, been adjusted as we started to roll. So leave that like it is. And let's take off. And watch your torque as soon as you take off. You don't want it to get too high. So you see it takes off right away. So I'm going to take us outside. So I'm trying not to over torque this thing. Bring up the flaps. It's asking us to climb to 2100. So when you do that, it'll turn green. You know, you'll know you're keeping them happy. Okay, now we're going to reach downwind, and they want us to go to 2800. So we can keep climbing. And I'm just controlling the throttle manually. When we reach 2800, that should turn green, and then you try and keep it in the green in order to get a good score. So we're at 2800. Cut back on the throttle a bit. See if I can stay within these boxes. I'm a little bit high.
Remember that you will have to perform a simulated short field landing as instructed in the aircraft's handbook. The most important part being the use of the reverse thrust, of course.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep the altitude at 2800, which can be a little tricky, especially on the turbines. So you get penalized a little bit for not having your altitude perfect. I'm going to cut back a little bit on the throttle and see if I can keep it from stalling and out of the high torque and at 2800. Starting to creep up again a bit. Okay, if you look at the compass up on the left there, you can see how we're progressing, coming up to base here.
Cessna 491, Windcom, clear to land runway 10.
I acknowledge
Clear to
that.
land runway 10, Cessna 491.
Okay, we don't have to maintain that 2800 altitude now. And I'm going to cut back on the throttle. Try and land it around 70 knots. Looks like I'm a little bit low here, but shouldn't be too bad. Just watch your airspeed when you're doing these turns. And I'm going to put flaps down 15 and then full flaps for landing. We're going to try and do a short landing. Okay, watch your speed. We'll take you inside the aircraft once we make this turn and I put the full flaps down. So the airplane is handling really well, as you can see. Okay, let's put the flaps down full, and let's go inside the aircraft so you can see the approach and how we're lining up here. So I got to put reverse thrust on. I have a button programmed in, so that always helps. So you can look up your keyboard, reverse thrust, or you can just have it programmed
500.
in to your joystick or your throttle. So let's see. This thing's very noisy when it touches down. So let's see how it sounds when I do this. So airspeed cut back pretty good here, 60 knots roughly. Yeah, so it looks like I'm a little bit low maybe. Oh, right there is perfect. Okay, so let's see if I can just touch down nice and quiet like. Okay, reverse thrust.
Cessna 491, exit runway when able.
Okay, so bring up your flaps. Can't go too fast with this thing, will lift into the air again. I'm speeding it up here a bit just to shorten the video as much as possible, because the only place I can exit is way down at the end here from the looks of things. So that means we'll have a long taxi back to our parking spot. Okay, so we'll turn the next taxiway like they're asking us to. Braking. And I'll just see if I can turn the line up here.
Cessna 491, contact ground on 121.805.
Okay.
121.805 for Cessna 491.
These little hold short spots are getting a little tricky with the latest upgrade. Anyway, what you want to do is get it to shut off and then be able to request taxi by pressing enter.
St. Gallen Ground, Cessna November 2, 44901. Taxi to parking.
You have to wait for clearance.
Cessna November 24491. Taxi to General Aviation parking using taxiway November Alpha Sierra Alpha.
Yeah, so if you proceed before you're ready for your clearance, they're going to penalize you. Or if you go too far past that hold short. So let's acknowledge
Taxiing to
that.
General Aviation parking using taxiway November Alpha Sierra Alpha. Cessna 4901.
So now we got stop at the parking stand so we can proceed. This thing doesn't taxi too bad. It's easy to keep it under 30 knots anyway, so you don't get penalized. However, it looks like they gave us a parking spot way up there. 7 nautical, decimal 7 nautical miles, almost a mile. So that's one of the things I find a little bit annoying is the long taxis in missions that are given. It's always nice when the parking spot is close or the takeoff location is close and you don't have to spend a lot of time on the ground taxiing, because they do penalize you if you don't taxi at the right speed. So we're doing 17 knots right now. I'm keeping an eye on that. You can go up to 30 knots, but you can't always trust that speed right there, the TAS ground speed. It might be inaccurate. So we're going to stop in our parking spot up here, and then we'll get our evaluation from the instructor on how well we did on all phases of the flight. So if you stuck with me this far, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Give a thumbs up and also subscribe. See more of my videos in coming days and weeks as I go through Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 and advance through the various career modes. I'm doing mainly career modes because I'm enjoying that more than just basically free flight. But it's good to go free flight just to test some of the aircraft out before you buy them in career mode. This is not a bad plane to buy. It's good for cargo. It'll earn you a lot of credits, and then you can buy other aircraft. So we're doing 20 knots now. I'm just going to slow down a bit here. And I am going to try and follow these markers instead of going right to the parking stand, because this was what they asked us to do. You'll get graded on that. And I think you'll see that the thing that you get the lowest score on is taxiing. For some reason they make that tough, but they're pretty generous on passing you. They don't fail you for small little mistakes that you make. They'll mention it, but they don't always clobber you on your overall certification. So let's turn here and see if we can get into that blue box. There's somebody there giving us directions, but you don't really have to pay attention to them too much, because as soon as you get inside that box and stop, it's going to shut down. There we go. So now you have to put on the parking brake, and you have to do Control Shift E to shut it down in order to get your score. So let's see if we passed. Our instructor didn't say too much during the flight. Just making notes, I guess.
You handle that plane like you've been flying one daily. Congratulations on obtaining your turboprop certification.
Oh, great. Now I could buy some other aircraft and do some missions in career mode using this type of aircraft. So there you go. Respect the traffic pattern altitude was 98%, which is pretty good. Respect the traffic pattern path, 100%. And like I said, respect the taxi path, that's only 67%, even though I tried my best. And plane handling was 85%. Everything went perfectly well during the flight, so I did pass. So thank you very much if you stuck to the end on this, and if you haven't done this turbo engine rating yet certification, then hopefully this was able to help you out a little bit and give you an idea before you actually take the test. So catch you next time, Flight Simmers.